Hello, Januarius, Momentumeers, Pengineers, and Deterministas. I'm Grant Faulkner, and I used to be a writer, and I used to be working on a memoir, and I'm here with my co-host Brooke Warner. And for those of you who have been listening to this podcast, you know two things. We're the founders of this fantastic memoir writing organization, Memoir Nation, which supports writers to believe in their story and write their story. And two, we've been struggling with our own memoirs for a whole bunch of reasons, and we're going to talk about some of them tonight. And we actually didn't set New Year's resolutions this year. We've had past shows where we talked about that, but we did host what might be the largest memoir writing event in the country this year, January Story, which challenged people to write 500 words per day in January. And so here we are today, and I want to do a quarterly check-in. Brooke, how did your January Story go, and where are you with your memoir now?
Nice. I want to note too that you said I used to be working on my memoir. It's like every day that could be true. You know, like you could work on it yesterday and be like, I used to be working on it.
That's true. That's the optimistic side.
Yeah, like tomorrow's a new day.
Tomorrow is always a new day. That's the thing. Yep.
Yeah. So the January Story went well, I have to say. So I obviously am a person who benefits from a goal and a deadline. I know that about myself. And so we should probably just have January Story, February Story, March your story, April your story, because I needed it. I actually did get a lot done. I was quite proud of myself. And there were days that I just wrote because I was like, I'm doing this. And there was an expectation. And I really benefit from external pressure. So I think that that's something to know about myself. And I will say that since January Story, I have fallen off a cliff. I have written probably in the last 2 months, maybe 3 or 4 times. And then I've shared this with you and with people, you know, obviously who listen to the show, that I'm challenged by my own memoir deadline now being this sort of far off goal of 2029 for publication, which is when my son graduates from high school. However, I want to say that I recently had a big aha moment because She Writes Press is now acquiring for 2028. So it's right around the corner. Like suddenly I'm like, oh, it's here, which is good because I'm ready to rev up the engine. So that's my check-in, you know, good, not good. So I also used to be working on my memoir, but how about you, Grant? How was January Story? I think you wrote most days.
I think we've had a very similar experience, and that's what I thought or I sensed from afar. And that's, January Story worked for me. I mean, obviously I felt like I needed to do it with a lot of energy, being a co-founder of the whole organization. But, you know, it really worked with that goal deadline pressure. That's what I needed at that time to keep writing. And I did have a goal even beyond January Story, and that was that my agent very generously said that she would look at like the first third or so of my memoir and essentially kind of give me a vote of confidence or not, because I was restructuring things. And so my goal was to be able to print out that first third of the memoir in early February, but it actually took me another month to do so, and that's because I did drop off. And you know, I was beating myself up a little bit about that, but also I did have the end in sight, and I did actually print it out a little bit later in March. And so the idea is that I now read that first third, that I do some revision, making notes in the margins, and get it kind of polished. I'm thinking it's not that much work at this time, but I haven't read it. So my new goal is to do that sometime in April, and I should set a hard goal because otherwise it's gonna slide into May. But the whole thing is that this has, you know, I'm giving myself a little bit of a break because this is a weird year in that I've just started some new ventures like Memoir Nation and publishing a book. And I've got this whole book tour thing going on. And the book tour is actually, it's not a full-time job, but it's enough of a job that, you know, now I'm really getting the idea that like when writers publish books, they need to have an interlude, you know, because that promotion side of their brain is very different than the creation side of their brain. So giving myself a little bit of a break, but I really do hope I come back and write with much more vigor.
Yeah, I mean, you have started a lot of new ventures, so I think it is right. Like we have to find that balance. It's like the balance of giving ourselves a little bit of slack and also at the same time holding our feet to the fire. I'm curious about like thank you for sharing your why, but why do you think in general people tend to fall off? I mean, I guess it's all the things, but we're also reinvigorated by, like you've said so many times, a goal and a deadline, and then I think there's like there tends to be like these peaks and valleys with writing, and I wonder about, I'm jealous, I should say, of people who have like a truly consistent writing schedule.
Yeah, I used to when my life was less cluttered, I think, and there were fewer demands on me. And, I was working hard, of course, but I did have this pristine time of, an hour or two every morning when I woke up. And now that's really encroached upon by what I call the business of life or the business of being a writer. And but beyond that, because I know everybody's not like me, I always think that people fall off from their stories just because they stop believing that it matters that much. I mean, it's my mantra that you have to believe my story matters to fight through all those periods of self-doubt or feeling like your story doesn't matter, having that determination to finish your story, but also just to get back, and that's what we're talking about here today, is to come back from those lapses. Because I think also what you need to realize, we've each experienced many lapses, long periods of drought with our memoirs, but we're keep coming back to them, and that's the good thing, I think. And so recently we started, we're doing more video, and we have the whole, we're making these little clips, and you're doing craft chats, and I'm doing Monday memoir motivation. And so recently there was this old New Year's Eve hat that was lying around our house. I actually found it soaking wet the day after, I think it was January 2nd or something. So anyway, I put it on, and the reason I put it on and made this little clip is because of this phrase milestone marker that I'm very fixated on. Because what it means is that to restart, sometimes it helps to restart with a milestone on a milestone day, which can be as simple as Monday, first day of the week, first day of the month, first day of the year. Could be your birthday, could be any day that you call a milestone. And that kind of can motivate you to get back and write.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I have to say, I think that your memoir motivation Mondays are hilarious. Like I thought about, like you had one where you're wearing chain mail, which honestly, like I had to look up the word chain mail to ask myself, is that really what it's actually called? Like knight armor. And then you have the one where you're wearing the hat. And so I'm wondering if you have this
What's next?
pressure, yeah, to like find costumes, or do you just have like a trunk full of costumes?
It's a good question. We're going to find out. So keep watching.
All right, good.
Memoir
So
Monday memoir motivation. What can Grant pull out of that closet? I don't
yeah,
know.
please do come. I mean, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. We're trying to do these videos, and I think it's an interesting thing. Like the videos really are also about motivating other people and getting the word out about Memoir Nation. And so it's been really fun. And now that's yet another thing that is about like consistency, and it's also about motivation. So I want to say that also.
Absolutely.
But on the note of motivation, deadlines, accountability, all the things, we are doing something new. And I do, want to give you credit for this, like 100%, because you love writing prompts, like more than anyone I know. Actually, you have a lot of prompts, you collect quotes. And so you have this idea to do something that we're calling Memoir Showers. Once again, just like Jan, your story, this sort of came up as a funny name that we both laughed at. But the idea being Memoir Showers brings Mayflowers, or brings memoir flowers.
Yeah, I
And
like that.
so Memoir Showers is starting April 1st. And so today, as this show airs, it's March 30th. It starts tomorrow. But I just want to say a little bit about what it is, and then just have you riff on that a little bit. So what it is essentially us writing prompts every single day in April, but it's much less what I want to say, like intensive than Jan Your Story. And the whole idea is to help people keep the momentum that they created in January. But even if you didn't do Jan Your Story with us, you can come and check it out, and to help people like us to restart. And so tell me a little bit about why prompts, what's the value of something like this, and why do we want to introduce this to people at Memoir Nation?
Yeah, I think a bunch of reasons. I mean, I've been thinking about like we're providing prompts, both text prompts and visual prompts. And I like to also think that people might challenge themselves a little bit, like maybe just 200 words a day. I just talked to this psychologist, creativity guy who said, writing 5 minutes a day is all you need to do to keep your momentum. So that's what I'm thinking. If people just have 5, 10, 15 minutes a day to write to the prompt, then that is wonderful. I actually didn't ever write to prompts until I joined NaNoWriMo as National Novel Writing Month as the executive director. And we did these writing sprints, and of course, to write 50,000 words in a month, you needed to have some sprints in there. And so basically it would be like a timed, you'd get a prompt and you'd write for 5 or 10 minutes, and you would write as much as you could. That's the sprint part. You wouldn't think about it too much. You would kind of do it like an improv actor. You would say yes and to your thoughts. No writing was wrong, especially the first sentence, whatever kind of propelled you. And the thing about it was that I loved creatively is I was just always so surprised by what spilled out of my head. And what it did, it convinced me so much about how deeply we are storytellers as human beings, how you just need a prompt and a crack in the door to open up your writing and your stories. And you just don't even know. Like your brain just creates a story. Plot happens. You don't think about it. You don't have to plan it. And it just makes writing kind of more fun. And it also opens you up to discover things. You don't have to, worry so much about your mistakes. And the focus really isn't on finished work. It's on discovering your story and expanding your story and taking risks. And so that's what I hope people do with our prompts. But they can also, if they want to sit and slow down and write really meditatively, I think that that's wonderful too. I actually think the prompts work. You can write poems, you can write tiny essays, you can write flash essays, you can write chapters of your memoir. There's just so many things you can do with them. And so I just hope really it spurs people on to write.
Yeah, I mean, it could just in the vein of motivation, right? And having something like Jan Your Story already feels really long ago. And I think what we're both saying is like we got a lot of writing done in Jan Your Story, and part of that was just about having community and having a place to check in. And so this is going to be a little more passive, but it's going to be similarly, people can check in and people can put their word count. There's a couple people in Memoir Nation who are continuing to post their word count on the
That's
message board,
so
and I
touching.
love that. Yeah, it's like
Hmm.
they want that check in and they want that validation. And I also want to share a little story about the power of prompts, because this happens to me regularly with my students. But just recently in one of my memoir classes, this man shared after he was done with a spontaneous prompt that he remembered someone who was very, very important to him when he was quite young, who was a mentor. And he just was like kind of in awe, saying, I can't believe how important that person was to me.
Hmm.
And so I think that what ended up happening was that it opened up a whole new portal for his story that he had completely forgotten. And I think to me, that's really the power of prompts. And so I just want to encourage everybody to come check it out. Come to memoirsnation.com, go to the community tab on our menu, and that is how you get access into the community. You can sail right in, come see what we're doing. This entire thing is free. We're growing, we're trying things. We have classes, we have resources, we have the prompt thing going on. Memoir Showers is what it's called. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a class with Mark Nepo on April 16th. Mark Nepo is the best-selling author of the Book of Awakening. But what is really interesting about Mark as a spiritual teacher is that he knows so much about self-expression. And even though he has not written a memoir, many of his books are memoir-esque. So many of his
Hmm.
stories stem from personal growth and understanding and things that he's experienced. And so he has so much to share with memoirists about self-expression and how to access that on the page. So we're doing a lot, Grant. I mean, it's fun. You're always thinking of new ideas. We're doing new stuff all the time. So I'm excited about Memoir Showers for sure.
Me too. And you're always thinking of new ideas as well. And you introduced me to Mark Nepo, and I just found him or find him to be basically one of the most thoughtful people that I've ever encountered. So really looking forward to him.
Yeah, me too. He is always an amazing teacher. You guys are in for a treat. We do not have a guest today. We're just talking about memoir showers, encouragement, motivation, all the stuff. We do have a great book trend for you, though, so stay tuned. We're coming up with that. And today, like we said, if you're listening on Monday, it's March 30th. The prompts are live. Go to memoirsnation.com, check it out. But we'll get rolling starting April 1st. If you're listening to this after April 1st, just know you can join anytime. We're like the most lax community you're ever going to find in the very best way.
We'll welcome you no matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter how you write. The main thing is right.
Yes, exactly. Right. Hey, Memoir Nation, I'm Brooke, and I am recording this ad on my own to tell you about Memoir Showers. Memoir Showers is an event that is happening through the entire month of April. It's just simply an effort to get you to engage and write more. That is it. I will give a huge shout out to Grant, who is traveling right now out in the world, engaging with writers just like you at a writers conference. But Grant has always been obsessed with writing prompts. He loves a good writing prompt, knows the power of a good writing prompt, as I do too. And so he put together writing prompts for the entire month of April for you to engage with, have fun with. It's simply a writing goal, a place to interact with community. We're trying all of these different ways to create more and better, more interactive community inside Memoir Nation. So we invite you to participate. Come check it out. Come see what it's all about. All you have to do is go to memoirsnation.com, sign up for the community. It's free, and it is a place where you will hopefully write more than you otherwise would have, and that is the goal. So we'll see you in Memoir Showers. See you throughout the month of April. And thanks so much.
So, Brooke, I'm afraid this week's book trend might be taking us to new lows in memoirs, or perhaps to a whole new subgenre of memoir. That might be the better way of thinking about it. And so, in just the last week, 3 celebrity memoirs were published, but they weren't written by a celebrity. They were written by a celebrity's pet. So there's Singing with Babs by Barbara Streisand's dog Guinevere, All Dressed Up and Nowhere to Go by Gwyneth Paltrow's dog Poochie, and then Just Scratching My Itch by Joe Rogan's tiger Tony. That's right, a tiger. So, Brooke, I know that you have many critical things to say about the overemphasis of celebrity memoirs in publishing at the expense of more important books. So I'm sure you have some biting analysis of this new trend.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder what is next, Grant. I mean, like Living in the Fishbowl by Cher's Goldfish Charlie, or Blinged and Botox by the Kardashians' Chihuahua Maximilian. I mean, it's kind of upsetting to me, and I don't think I quite have the words to comment on this other to say, like it's fun, but it's also diminishing to the genre. And I really do hate to see valuable shelf space taken up by these trivial tell-alls, written by pets of all things. It's just annoying. But I think that each of these memoirs, it certainly does carry like a certain amount of crass materialism, which is just not what the world needs right now. I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow's dog Poochie goes through her daily beauty and diet regimen, and Goop is now offering online dog products, Goop for your pooch. I mean, my Lord, how much more money does Gwyneth Paltrow need?
Well,
Seriously.
I thought about buying the 20-ounce bag of Goop Pooch grass-fed dog biscuits that cost $99 for my dearly beloved Buster, who might write a memoir someday just to keep him going. Well, I'm going to offer a counterpoint to consider, Brooke. One, we've been talking a lot about how one sign of memoir's strength as an art form is how so many memoirists are taking an inventive approach to telling their story. And I'll posit that could be the case here. I mean, there is a tradition of novels being told from an animal's perspective, everything from Jack London's Call of the Wild to Anna Sewell's Black Beauty. And the animal narrator in these books almost always functions as a sort of moral instrument, creating this ironic gap between what the animal observes and what the reader understands. So I don't know. I'm just saying there are possibilities. Barbara Streisand's dog provides commentary on the guests who come to a dinner party, and these guests aren't just any luminaries. They're world leaders and legends. There's a funny scene when Guinevere squirms away when Bill Gates tries to pet her, and she jumps up on the piano stool to croon with Liza Minnelli, and then she lies on Robert Redford's lap when he has a cold. And then one more point. These pets are savvy. They have author platforms. Gwyneth's dog's Poochie has 2 million followers on Instagram and is a genuine dog influencer, earning top dollar by wearing these chic collars and even endorsing a series of online dog training videos. And then Reese Witherspoon's cat hasn't penned a memoir yet, but she has an active presence in Reese's book club photos and has nearly 1 million followers.
I mean,
So
really, Grant, I think you just proved my point. This is materialism at its worst. It is nice that Barbara Streisand is giving 5% of all book sales to PETA, and it's certainly admirable that Joe Rogan rescued his tiger from mistreatment. But there's just something weird about this trend, and something that shows how far from reality many celebrities are. I mean, to show the ridiculousness of these books, I just thought we should each read our favorite section, hate read, from each memoir, and guess who it is. Okay, so here's mine. She rises before the sun, which I respect because I also rise before the sun, usually to eat something I found. First, there are her serums, always in a specific order that I have tried to memorize. There are 13. Each smells like the last one, but with a certain je ne sais quoi. I mean, come on. Vitamin C, retinol, something called peptide complex that smells like manifesting your dreams in a spa in Switzerland where the water is infused with lavender. And that's as far as I can go on that one, Grant. What do you think?
I'm going to say that has all the marks of Poochie's literary style. And is certainly a recounting of Gwyneth's morning routine. There's even a hawk feather mentioned that Gwyneth holds close to her face, and later on in that passage. So
sorry that I couldn't go that far.
Yeah.
But it's on sale at Goop now, so people can go get it and they can read it. So what's yours? What's your excerpt?
Well, let me think here. I'm paging right now. So here goes. The call comes at 6 a.m. Coco, the peonies. Yes, they're breathing wrong. She moves through the room like weather, her gown like a cloud. Coco looks at the peonies. They are, by any measurable standard, breathing correctly. They are peonies. They do not breathe. Coco looks at me, worried. I give a nod that says, we have to do better. She writes down peonies, breathing, fix. By 9, Coco has replaced the peonies twice. The first replacement smelled too pink. The second smelled, according to my lady, like a suburb. The third arrangement, brought in by a professor in UCLA's botany department, finally strikes the right smell. Only a dog's nose knows, and my lady's nose knows. These peonies do breathe.
Well, it's not Joe Rogan's tiger by process of elimination. So this scene must be Barbara Streisand getting ready for a dinner party or some other very important occasion with her personal assistant, Coco, and Guinevere, of course, taking it all in.
Yeah, good guess. And for Joe Rogan, I think Brooke, we could start a Name That Celebrity game show or podcast from this. I think it would be fun. Joe Rogan imaginatively named his tiger Tony. And I'm just going to read a little brief excerpt from this. Tony says, every morning he comes down the stairs the same way, loud before he is visible, the way prey animals are never loud, which is one of the many things I find baffling about him. Raja, he says, brother, I am 430 pounds. I've killed things that would make his podcast audience cancel their subscriptions. And yet he gets on the floor. This is the thing I've never told anyone because I did not have language until I wrote this book. He gets all the way down on the floor every single morning in his Joe Rogan Experience hoodie, and he puts his enormous, ridiculous face directly against mine. And he says quietly, just to me, you good? He smells like a cigar and a scotch and weightlifting.
Grant, I think we must now disclose to our listeners what is truly up with these memoirs. Are you ready? Okay.
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
April Fools!
Oh, dear listeners, thank you for playing along with us. That was actually fun. I haven't laughed that much in a little while. So thank you, Grant, as we were talking about joy and wonder and awe earlier in this podcast episode. So we hope that you have a very foolish and fun week, and we'll be back with you next week. We look forward to it.